Welcome to CompImg Part 1, a short series. I'm going to be going over all the things you can do with CompImg and Shaper. And the first thing I'm going to do in this video is holograms. A hologram is a kind of movie file in that it's made up of frames and it simulates a 3D object by changing what frame you see depending on the direction your camera faces it. Just a disclaimer before we get too deep into the video. Even though there's a lot of hologram avatars, the ones that non-VIPs use, I don't think there's a way to make custom hologram avatars that anybody can use right now. This is only going to be for props to use in your worlds, not avatars. So the first thing you're going to do is decide on what your hologram is going to be. You're going to need from 1 to 8 views from different angles around the objects, and remember that all textures in worlds are reduced to 128 by 128, so plan accordingly, don't use something too detailed. For the example, I'm going to use a sprite from the Game Boy Advance, which usually ends up being pretty nice for this format. So we're going to be making an 8-sided hologram for this example. But all holograms start the same way, which is a front view. We're going to call this position 1. So we're going to take that and create a new image with just the front view. Crop out the background, and then I'm going to insert, where's my layers, a color that isn't found anywhere else to make the transparency step easier. And then I'm going to save it. And I'm going to save it as a bitmap file. I'm going to name it salsa1.bitmap and 24-bit bitmap or below. So for each face in your hologram, you're going to have to rotate the view by a certain amount, which is like the perspective of looking at it from that direction. So say for we're doing one with 8 faces, so we take 360 degrees divided by 8, so that's 45. So say we rotate what we're looking at by 45 degrees, and it's going to be this direction, so now it's facing our left. So we're going to get the view of the sprite facing to our left and do the same thing. And this is going to be position 2. I'm going to say that's salsa2.bitmap. I forgot to put a green on it. And save. And then we're going to do that for all 8 faces. So some things to keep in mind is that you want all of the images to be the exact same size, so you might want to like get the biggest one that you're gonna have, and then base all of the further images off of the biggest size that you're gonna have. And then the other thing you're gonna want to look out for is you don't want there to be any semi-transparent pixels, because those will blend in with the green background, and then you're gonna get like green or like whatever transparent color you choose in the hologram, and it's gonna look really bad. So after all of that, we now have 8 images going all the way around our object. So now you create all your bitmap images, and hopefully you put them all in the same folder. And then you're going to create a new text file. So open up Notepad or something, and then type in each file name 1 per line. And then you're going to save this as whatever you're going to call your hologram. It could be .text. I like to use .lst for list because that's just how I learned how to do this for organizational purposes, but you really don't need to change it from a text file. So we're going to open up command line and navigate to our working folder, and you can see all of our files are here. So we have CompImg, our list file, and all the images that we made. So we're going to type in compimg.ow.emove-t0,0 and the name of our hologram plus the name of our text file that we just made. And just like that, it's done. So let's go back to Shaper, and we'll add an empty hologram here, and we'll direct the file to what we just made, and there it is. And we'll make it a little bigger, and we'll rotate it, and we see that it works. Before I close this video out, I want to talk about what exactly we did there with CompImg, and I'll go into more detail about all the arguments later. But basically, OW means that we're making it compatible with Windows. Emove is giving it the .move file extension. -T00 is saying that we want whatever color is in the top left of the image to be the transparency color. Now, if your transparency color isn't in the top left, you can change this 00 to something else, or you could put a lowercase c and then just type in the RGB of the transparency color that you prefer. Now, we can be done here, but I want to go over a few other commands that were kind of necessary back in old worlds, like for file sizes and colors. Some of you may be too young to remember this, but back when computers had color modes, and sometimes a program would say you need to switch to 18-bit color mode to use this program and stuff like that. So there are commands here to change colors and loss factors and stuff like that, and it'll make your hologram look more like it fits in with old worlds. So there's a couple that we can do here. So PI common 210. So PI is like use the palette file, and then common.210 is a palette file that you'd have to have in the folder. The download to that is on my site, but basically this is like an average of colors that you can get on worlds, and so the colors should match a little bit better. .da is dithering. R4 is reduced number of colors in the reduced color format. C210 is the maximum number of colors. L4 is the loss factor. F0 fixed resolution palette, and then we put in the other ones from before. So -00 -OW -emove we'll do salsa 2 plus salsa.text. Oh, I forgot to put the palette file, so let me just fix that real quick. Okay, I've put the palette file in our folder now, and so when I run this, it should work correctly. And it did, and so now we can see what it looks like with these settings. So back here in Shaper, we have our second version, and you can really see the dithering and the color palette take effect, where instead of using the true colors, it's using the dithering to make sort of like a mix of color, and makes it look a lot more crunchy and more like a lot of things in worlds look like. So I like to do it like this because I think it fits the aesthetic better, but maybe you want it to stay faithful to the original image, so that's your decision. Now when you add your hologram to your world, and then you try to, put it live so that people can see, you might notice that holograms won't load the first time around, like they need to be cached or something before people can actually see them. but there is a solution to this. So while you are putting in the file name, put in something like this. So we have an 8-frame hologram, so I'm going to put 8S star. And you'll see it resized it, but we can change it to whatever size we want in the extent property. But this will make it load a lot faster. So holograms are best for characters, and if you're using for props things that are vertical, I like to say that you put a hologram on a 3D object. So 3D objects like the table and the candlestick are better for flat surfaces that things will go on top on, where the holograms are better for vertical things. So you see this coffee cup, and this candle is actually a 2-frame hologram that's constantly rotating, which produces a flicker effect. And from a distance, I think it looks pretty good. You don't really stare at the flame, and the illusion it creates is very nice, I think. Now, my whole example, I was using a 8-sided hologram, but of course you don't need to make it 8-sided. You can make it anywhere from 1 to 8-sided, and all you have to do to determine the viewing angles is take 360 degrees and divide it by the amount of sides that you have. So you can do 4, 6, whatever you think is appropriate, or however many images you have. And that's about it for holograms. It's fast to explain, but making each one takes a little bit of time. So just remember, all the bitmaps have to be the same size, and to make sure that you put NS star at the end of the file name when adding them to your worlds. See you next time, and I'll be talking about other uses for CompImg.